Viewers, over the last 78 days now, there have been differing versions on what exactly happened. On June 14th, the day Sushant Singh Rajput was found dead in his Mont Blanc apartment. In fact, there have been several inconsistencies in the versions put forth by Siddharth Pithani, Neeraj and Dipesh Sawant, all of whom were present in the house. In fact, the inconsistencies are being investigated by the CBI as well. But now, for the first time ever, two WhatsApp screenshots from June 14th and June 9th have been accessed here on Republic that have raised more questions. For more on this, let's go across to my colleague Sawant, who will take us through the details. Sawant, over to you.
Well, in fact, Richard, these are the two big clinches that we are bringing to our viewers on this Monday morning. Two messages. One is of that very person who was inside Sushant Singh Rajput's residence, Dipesh Sawant. And the second WhatsApp message that was actually from the actor himself. Now, what exactly is the significance? Remember, there has been multiple theories that have been doing the rounds, that the actor was suffering
from mental illness. The actor did not have any work. But today, for the first time, there is this clincher that we are bringing out to our viewers. On the 9th of June, the late actor got in touch with one of his closest friends. In fact, he was largely seen as the go-to person if one had to reach Sushant Singh Rajput. In fact, an e-commerce giant had basically got in touch with the actor's close aide because they were basically scouting for some sort of brand endorsement. And Sushant Singh Rajput was one of them. They wanted to get in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput. In fact, this close friend got in touch with on the 9th of June, saying that this e-commerce giant wanted to get in touch for a particular deal, to which Sushant Singh Rajput on 9th of June responded saying that Dipesh Sawant, the man who is now under the scanner, would basically get in touch to take this forward. We've now got a message that was sent by Dipesh Sawant to Sushant Singh Rajput's closest aide on the 14th of June at 10:51 in the morning. Remember, there have been varying versions as to what really happened that morning. There have been several testimonies that have been doing the rounds, right from the cook Neeraj to his assistant and then Siddharth Pithani. Multiple versions that have been coming out. But what really happened between 10 to 11 was not known. There have been
10 to 11 was not known. There have been variations in this timeline. The time of death is still not known because remember, the autopsy does not make a mention of the time of death. The CBI does not make a mention of it. Mumbai police never spoke about it. But on 10:51, Dipesh Sawant gets in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput's close friend, saying that Sushant Singh Rajput was talking about this e-commerce giant deal. What was the update? Remember, a person who, as many would say, was about to commit suicide, do you really think would have been worried about a deal that was going to be struck with an e-commerce giant? Now, that's the big question. But this morning, we're bringing to you this very conversation of the late actor with his close friend. And secondly, Dipesh Sawant, the man who was inside Sushant Singh Rajput's residence on 14th of June, sent out a message at 10:51 in the morning. Copy of those WhatsApp messages are with us, which will also be put up in a short while. This becomes extremely important. Let me also bring in our guests at this point in time with this breaking news that we have. Yet another clincher that we are bringing to you, demolishing this entire narrative that the actor was suicidal, the actor was suffering from depression. This has been completely debunked by these WhatsApp messages. If I can also get to know who are the guests who are basically joining us on this broadcast, I'll try to go across to them and get a sense of what does this entire clincher essentially mean for this entire cover-up, as many would say. This entire cover-up that has now been exposed yet again by Republic Media Network. Let me try and bring in our guest at this point in time. If I can go across to Swapnil Kothari, who's joining us. Swapnil, this is yet another big clincher that we are bringing to our viewers. Two WhatsApp messages which have great significance. One that took place on 9th of June, the actor sending to his close friend, and the other on the 14th of June. Tell us what does this essentially mean? If the actor was suicidal, do you really think moments before this incident that took place, would he have really spoken about a deal that he was concerned about with an e-commerce giant?
Shravan, this is a fantastic piece of evidence, in my opinion, because I think this should pretty much, quell any thoughts or any doubts that people could have about, any suicidal tendencies, so-called suicidal or depressive tendencies of Sushant. And this is something which, the CBI should look at very closely. And I'm sure they must be having a, handful of these chats and possibly some more as well. And, they have the people who are there, who are absolutely there with Sushant and, who would throw much more light on this. And I'm glad that today Gaurav Arya and Riya Chakraborty are going to be interrogated and maybe separately or together. But coming back to these chats, this is something which I think is one of the biggest things. I mean, on the 9th of June, if you're talking about a possible deal with e-commerce giant, that completely endorses all the notations that you have made in your diaries, about what you plan to do, what you intend to do. And, you're a person who looks deep into the future and, you've planned your course of action for the next couple of years. And this clearly shows that the man is, looking at himself as some sort of a poster boy for, young people's, entrepreneurship in many ways, because he's not only an actor, but he thinks about many other things, organic farming and environment and all of those things, and physics as well. So I think this is one of the most brilliant minds that, unfortunately we have lost, that we are talking about. And, it's a, life cut short, unfortunately, by, all the people who, possibly were jealous of him, or who, who embroiled in him, or who sought to embroil him in many unwieldy things. And this is one of the best things I think the Republic TV has managed to get. And all the things put together, Shravan, will clearly establish, or that this man was not suicidal at all, and he was murdered.
Swapnil, let me also bring in Aniket Nigam, who's joining us on this broadcast. Aniket, we have seen the way Riya Chakraborty over the last few days, especially through this PR-driven interviews, have been peddling one sort of narrative. And that narrative is that the actor was a drug addict, the actor suffered from some sort of a mental illness, and also now there have been certain audio tapes that have been doing the rounds, private conversations of the actor, to make it look like he did not have any work. But once again, we are getting our audience hardcore evidence. This is an evidence that the actor had enough work. In fact, there were e-commerce giants who were basically scouting for celebrities, and one of them happened to be Sushant Singh Rajput, and this was for some sort of a brand endorsement that was supposed to take place. So this entire theory that the actor did not have any work has once again been demolished. So what does perhaps Riya Chakraborty and her PR team really have to say now?
Shravan, this piece of evidence that you have got for your viewers is really explosive, in the sense that in any case that is resting on circumstantial evidence, and this case is one of such cases, it is very important to see the conduct of the victim at the time of incident and immediately prior to the incident, in order to understand as to his state of mind, his frame of mind. Now, in this case, we know that Sushant Singh Rajput was somebody who was scouting for work, as rightly your channel has pointed out, Republic has pointed out. Through this WhatsApp conversation, it is seen that Sushant was somebody who was looking up to work. He was not somebody who was denying work. In fact, he asked that e-commerce giant guy that his person, Sushant's person, will get in touch with him. This Dipesh will get in touch with him, which he in fact got in touch with him. So Sushant was really wanted to work, and he was looking forward to life. Apart from that, in a detailed interview that Riya Chakraborty had given to a national news channel, she had also stated on air that sometime in February or March, Sushant Singh Rajput was also going to get a role in a movie for which he was going to get a hefty remuneration. So it is not as if he had closed all his doors in his life. It was not as if he was expecting no progress in his life. He was looking towards life in a very beautiful manner. This conversation is a reflection of that state of mind. And certainly the investigating agencies, which is CBI now, will also have to look into conversations that have taken place closer to 14th of June, because 14th of June is the unfortunate day when he, when his life came to an end. Now, what was his CDR would reflect, his call detail records, what his WhatsApp conversations would reflect of that day and of preceding days will really give an insight into his mental state of mind, and therefore it is very essential to do psychological autopsy of Sushant Singh Rajput in order to cull out and debunk this theory of depression and he being suicidal.
Well, Aniket, several questions would certainly now be raised, and perhaps the Central Bureau of Investigation should be taking cognizance of such sort of evidence now that is coming to the fore, and perhaps raise this question with Riya Chakrabarti and several others that, there's been this constant talk about the actor did not have any work and that is the reason why he was slipping into depression. Now, this is a conversation that actually took place on 9th of June. And the significance of this date, this happens just a day after Riya Chakrabarti leaves Sushant Singh Rajput's residence. And this conversation that actually took place with his close friend, which happened sometime in the afternoon, which is a clear reflection of the fact that he basically wanted to move on. He basically wanted to carry on with his work, and he was focusing on that. In fact, I've had a very conversation with one of his very close friends saying that the actor was in perfect shape between 5th and 6th and 7th when these conversations were actually taking place, and there was certain planning that was essentially taking place. So on the 13th itself, there was this conversation that Sushant Singh Rajput had with his man inside the apartment, saying that you need to get in touch with his close friend, the reference of this close friend, and find out where has the deal essentially reached. So a conversation that takes place on the 9th, a conversation that takes place on the 13th, and there is a WhatsApp message from the 14th at 10:51 in the morning when the man who's inside the apartment, Dipesh Sawant, sends across a WhatsApp message to Sushant Singh Rajput's close friend asking about the deal with an e-commerce giant. Yet again, hardcore evidence that we are bringing to our viewers right now. Swapnil, where does this take this case forward?
Yeah, Sawant, this will really take things forward, because circumstantial evidence, as Aniket pointed out, is very crucial in this case. There is no direct evidence, and contemporaneous evidence building up to this theory of non-suicide, or should I say homicide, is very crucial, and that will be debunked very soon, and I'm sure the 306 charge will be converted to 302 by the CBI. Now, Sawant, there is one point which I have noticed in this chat, is that this gentleman to whom Dipesh Sawant is writing, he's saying, Bhai is safe, no? Please reply yes or no. We are outside. Let me know if you need any help. I don't know what that means. That means, did people close to Sushant knew that he was in some sort of a danger? So whoever this person is should also be, talked to by Republic SIT, by you guys, and try to find out as to why he said that. Because, if somebody gives me a message saying that, SSR asked me to get in touch with you about this e-commerce thing, then I will start, answering on those lines, that, yeah, okay, we'll get in touch with the e-commerce guy. This is the person, that is the person. But that's the first answer that I'm giving is that buy is safe, no? Please reply yes or no. So this is something which is very, it raises my antenna here, that why did this person think that he is safe? If you need any help, let me know. And that too, this seems to be this needs to be investigated for sure by you guys. I mean, CBI, I'm sure they'll look at it, but, if you guys can get hold of this person and, coming back to your question, as to where does this lead, take this case?
The evidentiary value.
Yes, absolutely. It's of tremendous
I'll get a quick
value.
comment from Aniket also, the evidentiary value.
Well,
Aniket, your take on this, the evidentiary value of these WhatsApp conversations.
Shravan, WhatsApp conversations do have evidentiary value. They come under the ambit of term documents as defined under the Evidence Act, and there is a process of proving it in courts of law if at all the investigating agency wants to rely upon such conversations. I mean, I have argued cases where the convictions have been based upon the text messages. So it certainly has an evidentiary value. But apart from that, what Mr. Swapnil said, that there is a possibility that there was a danger and it was known to his close associates because he has written Bhai safe no. Now, I have a different viewpoint to it. I mean, this 14th of June or 9th of June was a time when Corona was at its peak, and everybody was writing to each other, boss, are you safe? Are you well? Are you good? You know, it may be in that context whether he's safe in terms of Corona. So we do not know.
I don't think so.
We do not know. But let's not jump the gun today. The investigating agency, I'm sure, is seized of the matter. They will have many more such conversations with them. It will be imperative on part of investigating agency to look into all such conversations, all such call data records in order to see what has transpired during that period, what was the mental state of mind of Sushant Singh Rajput, what was the mental state of mind of the colleagues and of flatmates of Sushant Singh Rajput, and depending upon that, the investigating agency will have to, do the further investigation. But having said that, Shravan, it's a very important piece of evidence. It does have evidentiary value. It can be proved in courts of law if the investigating agencies find it important to include it in their investigation. Certainly, it does have a good evidentiary value.
Let me also quickly bring in my colleague Piyush, who's joining us from outside the Enforcement Directorate's office. That's where also we're expecting some sort of an action to take place, because this entire drug link that is also now being probed by the NCB and the Enforcement Directorate looking at the proceeds of the crime. Piyush, a quick check from you with regards to what's really happening at the Enforcement Directorate. But Piyush, the WhatsApp clincher the Republic Media has at this point in time, no other network has these two conversations. A conversation with the actor on 9th of June and on the 14th of June, a man inside the apartment basically having a text, sending a text message to Sushant Singh Rajput's close aide regarding a brand endorsement. Tell us a little bit, about the significance it has, and also how perhaps the agencies are going to take this up.
Well, it has a lot of significance, Sawant, because it is going to, have some sort of impact on the investigations also. But what I'm picking right now, Sawant, is that a very important development taking place at Enforcement Directorate. Kunal Jain, who is very, who is now here at ED, and remember that he is known for his investment in the hospitality sectors, and he has also been quizzed in regards with Gaurav Arya. So Kunal Jain is one of the important person who is now here at ED. We are showing you the live pictures from right outside the Enforcement Directorate. He is known for his investment. What we are picking that he has now reached here at Enforcement Directorate. He is right now inside, and the investigations are now going on as far as this case is concerned. But the kind of WhatsApp chats which we have accessed has a lot of significance, because the agencies were looking at it, and now this is going to play a very important role as far as this investigation is concerned. We'll try to ascertain and also try to tell to our viewers that not only Kunal Jain but also Gaurav Arya, who is also all set to reach here at around 11 a.m. He is also going to play a very important role after the kind of things he will tell to ED, because ED is now investigating the bigger drug nexus as far as this case is concerned, and they are trying to ascertain if there are many more people involved in this very case. What we are also picking is that not only ED but also NCB is trying to connect the dots, dots across Mumbai, so that they are able to reach out to some visuals are now coming in. We're trying to some visuals. I will ask my request to show you some visuals. Gaurav Arya is now here. Gaurav.